Good afternoon. Welcome to the second section of Hong Kong's UN 75 Dialogue. I'm Karen Chen, the Acting President of UNESCO Hong Kong Association and the Director of Hong Kong Institute of Education for Sustainable Development. Thanks for the United Nations Academy Impact for offering this opportunity to Hong Kong Institute of Education for Sustainable Development to share our regional story with every global citizen. Our focus today is on the topic of prospecting education with technology and human resources in Hong Kong and the Greater Bay Area. So today, we have invited three honorable speakers. They are Mr. Eddie Ng, the former Secretary of Education and the Honorable President of HK and GBA Economic and Trade Institute. Dr. Lee George Lam, the Chairman of Hong Kong Cyberport Management Company. Professor Enoch Young, the Vice President of UNESCO Hong Kong Association. I've also invited the UNESCO Chair in Regional Education Development and Lifelong Learning, Chair Professor of Curriculum and Instruction, Professor John Lee, to be the co-moderator and the keynote for this section, to share his insightful ideas and thoughts on the topic of future education with a focus on teacher quality and student development. This topic focuses on a seemingly professional concept, but it embeds the core idea of education and human resources. The quality of teachers is the basis of the quality of education. While education is the fundamental of the development of innovative technology, the quality of education essentially determines the quality of our human resources, and our human resources then determines what our future is going to be like. Professor Lee, please.
Colleagues and friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. So actually my job is actually to try to set the scene for our four speakers who are distinguished professionals in their respective fields. My job is to set the scene, talking about future education. Of course, we are now situated in Hong Kong and also the Greater Bay Area. But my PowerPoint outlines I would say not only applicable to China and the GBA, but also probably applicable to the Asian region. I will briefly talk about the new vision of education. As you all know, in many parts of the world, including mainland China, different countries with different vision for education. And in China, in our country, we have the 2035 vision. And of course, when we take into account the visions of education, we have to take into account the global trends, including changes in Asian education, in other parts of the world, OECD reports. I'm sure that Mr. Adam will have a lot of knowledge to share with us about the global trends. Now, when we talk about change in education, I think we have to look into the future. But the future, interestingly, is rather unpredictable, not only in terms of changes, but in terms of the employability required, and also the change in technology, and also our aspirations for a continuing education, which will be presented by various speakers. The second notion, I believe, when we talk about teachers and students, we often think about schools. Recently, there's a lot of discussion about future school and also the classroom of the future. In the past few months, I'm sure that colleagues and friends, ladies and gentlemen, may have experienced online teaching and learning in different parts of the world because of the COVID-19. So it really helps us to really rethink what will be the future classroom will be like. Will it be the standard classroom, or will it be an online teaching and learning environment as a classroom? So this will again open up a discourse for discussion about the possible architecture or possible design for future classrooms. Of course, we always talk about innovation, but what's innovation? I believe Dr. George Lam is going to talk more about it in the context of science and technology. And We also talk about the talents for the future. When we talk about talents of the future, we talk about the 21st century skills. In some cases, we call it generic skills, which we actually in Hong Kong, we introduced it since 2000, 2001. And in China, we talk about the core competencies. And in some other parts of the world, OECD, in some countries, we got the transversational skills. But anyway, when we talk about 21st century skill, it's not only about knowledge. It's about a kind of skills that is needed for the future, like creativity, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and so on. So I'm sure that all other speakers will touch upon it in their respective presentations. So when we talk about teachers, because of the changing world, are we going to have new standards required for teachers in the new era? Recently in Hong Kong, we have the cultivates T standard 2+. I'm sure that in our former Secretary of Education, we also have the teacher standard, but gradually moving now towards the 2+, the new standard, so to speak, with an emphasis also on professional ethics and other roles of teachers. So for teachers in the new era, we talked about lifelong learning. I'm sure that Professor Yang is going to talk with us the importance of lifelong learning skills, in particular for teachers and actually all individuals in a way that needs continual education. We also talked about in future we need different roles. I would like to emphasize later on today the importance of nurturing positive values education, not only about knowledge, not only about skills, but possibly the importance of nurturing among our students positive values and also positive character strengths and also virtues like the Chinese virtues that our country will talk about. So we briefly would like to go into the envisioning the future through education. We have a really evolving education landscape. Today our region talks about the Greater Bay Area within China. I will leave it to the speakers who will elaborate. Because my understanding of the GBA, the Greater China Bay Area, will be focusing to become a well-standard education landscape, which will provide top-class, well-talents, internationalized talents. So this is the kind of context we would like to explore with speakers. Secondly, we talk about how to really ensure seamless integration between physical, meaning face-to-face, and then an online environment, online teaching and learning through the virtual environment. Number 3, in our new century, we talked about while we do not know much about future careers, but we also talk about career differentiation. We talk about changing career roles throughout one's journey, life journey. Number 4, I think not only in university now, I believe also in many parts of the world, like OECD countries and so on, there's already exploration in secondary and sometimes even in primary schools that we would like to explore the importance of entrepreneurship and also entrepreneurial education. Entrepreneurial education is not talking about just running a business, but the kind of mentality that will go into calculated risk, how to really know about our working economy, know about our world and so on, and also to explore how we can engage in an innovative future. But all this requires the enhancement of teacher quality. Teacher, I think is a very important important key stakeholder and also an important role model for our students. But the demand for teachers' capability, the demand for teachers' professional ethics is increasingly important every day. So we are now looking for actually a very demanding and all-rounded teacher development. Today's educators, in particular teachers, need to be a jack of all trades and also role models for our students. Teachers learn the latest programming techniques, pedagogical strategy, and apply them in teaching to develop student problem-solving skills and other 21st century skills. We also, it's very important for teachers to implement integrated education in the spirit of education for all, which is important parameters for UNESCO education. Nurturing students to be all-round individuals capable of overcoming different challenges and also try to envision a positive future. Teachers need to set good examples for students by rising to any challenges and confront them. last but not least, try to engage not only a national identity, but also develop student international perspective. Teachers are not only professionals. I recently engaged in more research and development in life education alongside with moral education. Teachers should be, I expect, to be lifelong learners on one hand, but also life educators. What I mean life educators is that first of all they have to engage in reflection, engage in enhancement, lifelong learning in areas like engaging in transcendence, in spiritual well-being, and also understanding the society, understanding the country, the nation, and also under the changing world. On the other hand, they have to concern about the environment. So today we have sustainable development. We have to engage in global dialogue about peace and so on. Last but not least, we have to engage in lifelong planning, life planning, as well as life learning skills. So to conclude, I think the human capital quality, I believe, is the key in the future of education. We have a lot of changing technologies. Education is more than just passing on the knowledge. It's about development of students' core competencies. Teachers play a very important role in the future of education. We have a diversified curriculum, and more so because of the changing context of technology. Online teaching and learning, different kind of technology engagement, and so on. Teachers of the future does not directly teach students ability to innovate, but ability to resolve problem challenges in life with imagination and creativity. Last but not least, teachers of the future should be life educators as well as life learners. So I would like to conclude here to set the scene. I'm sure that other speakers will provide a lot of insights in different arenas. And first of all, I would like to invite Mr. Eddie Ng to share his profound insights on various aspects, actually, ranging from human resource to Greater Bay Area, to talent development, to education, and so on. So shall we invite Eddie? Thank you.
Thank you. There'll be different files, right?
Yeah.
What to do? First of all, may I congratulate United Nations 75th anniversary and the parties organizers of this very, very important, and I'm going to bear profound impact of the UN 75th Dialogue Program. I believe the moderators have already highlighted the key. Maybe what I would do is try to address the subject and the theme of what's the new normal of education and the human capital development in Hong Kong as well as in the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area Initiative. We call it Greater Bay Area or GBA. The new normal, let's look a little bit at what's happening. Fortunately, in this region, this GPA, the PISA results of 2018, many of the top performers are staying with this particular region. China, Macau, and also we have Singapore in the region and Hong Kong. One of the reasons for their success, as I understand from various consultancy reports, they are very, very much making efforts in constant renewal of the education policies, adjusting to the trend and the changes of the world. No longer is just focusing on academic intellectual, but also on the character building. The very, very simple theme is IQ, EQ, and SQ is a combination of the three. Building of independent thinking as a responsible and contributing citizen. They should be change and adversity proficient. Very preferred to be innovative and service mind, and also with mutual respect. That is the future citizens globally we are looking at and trying to develop. When we look at the GBA, it carries over 70 million people. over 12 million students of various kinds, variety of businesses and industries, profound potential on human capital. The GBA Higher Education Consortium is one of the examples, embracing 24 top universities in the region in order to carry a lot of the higher education missions forward. Look a little bit further as an example and a reference. Hong Kong has achieved in 2017 15 years free and quality education, especially the quality kindergarten education. Reason being, very much the formation of character and the development of interest to explore the world starts with the year age 3 to 6. When we look at merger, the education with the human resources, human capital capacities of the future, early in the learning cycle and teaching cycle, building in the right mindset and knowledge and skills of career and life planning at the secondary education, not until it is at the last year of the graduation from the university. The IT in education 5-year plan is another example. Gladly and fortunately, we had done it a few years back. So I believe over 95% of schools in Hong Kong are Wi-Fi schools, trying to avoid the sort of a digital divide for every kid in the education journey. Building the STEM and the STEAM education as an integral part of the education, gaining momentum and importance in the eyes of the parents, schools, as well as the community, not the least the academic community. Experience learning would commingle increasingly well with the classroom education, particularly on the cross-cultural building. You cannot just teach the cross-cultural, intercultural learning through the textbook, through the classroom. People need the direct personal touch for it. One of the ways to do that in the GBA region, we already developed over 1,500 pairs of sister schools. For reason very simply, principals to principals, teachers to teachers, parents to parents, students to students, alumni to alumni, these 5-star commingling together between pairs of schools in different locations may be carrying different culture. Look at the GBA. We have these are 3 different kinds of languages. We have at least of 3 different tax systems, and definitely we have 3 different legal systems for quite a while to make it more dynamic and diversified. And if you look at everything merging the education and human capital development, the close link and strong link between schools and business world is even more obvious, important. Constant renewal of the curriculum and teachers' development cross-border is another way to look at it. Each location, city, and group will have its own strength. However, in the new world, and harmony cross-border is one of the best sort of a tool for every individual, every city, every group people to advance. That's what we should be looking at. In order to support different levels, different ingredients and potentials of students, we must provide scholarships of all kinds so that different caliber of students would find their way forward in a matter of choices, be staying with the students. Strong support for school-based management and school-based innovation is another way to make room and autonomy. Several higher performing universities at top 100 global higher education league table actually stay in this region as well. Challenges are ahead. It's not just harmony and all the goodies. School leadership is critically important at all fronts right now. Change happening every day. So how leadership will be able to lead and then to motivate and inspire and aspire students and people to advance and go forward. Quality and balanced teachers' capacities will determine the success of quality education, thereafter quality human capital. And I repeat, IQ, EQ, and SQ. Why do I mention SQ? Social quotient. If students be able to take the social service mind, they will be able to take the civil mind as well. They will help each other. The world will be a lot better when everybody's taking care of everyone else. Partnership with parents, students, alumni, and business leaders become sort of an everyday routine of the education process. Uniqueness of oneness be preserved, while synergy of the 9+2 cities in this region, I call it the new formula, 1+1. If you don't do it well, become 1.1. If you do it in a mediocre way, is 2. But if you do it in a profound and effective way, 1+1 could be equal to 11. International synergy and global cooperation, and definitely important. And join hands with a bigger cake for all would lead to the win-win for all, so that everybody will have the motivation to join. As moderator just mentioned, future school and future education requires full support from all. Now a little bit more on the quality human capital capacities. We are in a region with the top global corporations, multinational corps presence in this part of the world, covering all kinds of industry, technology, and service sectors, and so opportunities for many. Embracing a lot of the variety of job families is one of the uniqueness of the region as well, and also career streams to meet the different inspiration of the young talents. Strong startup nurturing grants, and also to make sure some of the dream makers be able to move forward. We have top manufacturing, technological, research and development, and financial hubs in this region that stays a lot of the platforms and stages that we have very, very high potential opportunities ahead in this part of the world, both in terms of the education as well as in terms of the human capital advancement. I just don't call it development. Synergy is the key, which require knowledge and buy-in. The best way to achieve the future mission of the GBA is for people to understand it, not only understand, but be able to do it and really do it, and also buy in. And multi-generational collaboration actually becoming one of the key challenges as well. That should be built into part of the education. Intercultural, multicultural, and global mindset, and as moderator mentioned, becoming a critical part of the education and learning process. Strengthening the talent-friendly, free-flow environment, and also is a winning formula for all. Lessons from the pandemic attacks, which is the summary that I would like to propose. New life habits develop, like it or not, is coming in the last 6 months for everyone, everywhere in the world. Over 190 countries actually face up to it. Value of life and survival is fundamental. Back to the basics first. But that we should not be staying at that one. A lot of schools closed. Actually, however, the teaching and learning continue. So that's how we see it in a different angle. School, physical school and classroom, no longer the only place for learning and teaching. Students' self-managed learning ability have been profoundly demonstrated. We need to put a better trust and a stronger trust to our students' ability actually to learn things they would like to see and seek. Parents and teachers' roles also change drastically. And I would love to see what the parents would say afterwards, and what the insight and actually new roles and new skills parents would really want to acquire. That's why in the building the stronger education platform, parents' education become a very critical part going ahead. Technological and ability of technology has been demonstrated. If you don't have the technology supporting you, no way you'll be able to close the school but continue the learning and teaching, as an example. and how to buy things online and so on is another particular example as well. So technology is critical. Education systems and policies becoming very flexible and adaptive. People say you must attend school. Last 4 to 5 months, are you able to attend school? If you don't, what will you do? That is the new impact and actually challenge to the existing education system. Life science and mental health are gaining a lot more attention now than before. Multitask and multi-skills, adaptive, future-ready talent actually is what we are after. Technology becoming part of our daily life, forcing our relearning in this. COVID-19 was seen, as I see it, as should be a global property for genuine sharing and common goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is the summary. I believe this is critical and a starter. We have time in the future to actually discuss individual items one by one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aiden, for your really insightful sharing about the insight and future development of human talents and also possible development of the GBA. Now we would like to invite Dr. George Lam, Lee George Lam, Chairman of the Hong Kong Cyberport Management Company Limited. Of course, you can tell from George that you are really the leader and driver of the Hong Kong and also the region's technology and IT development. So we would like to learn from you your insights on how Hong Kong being transformed the world-class international innovation technology super hub. So Dr. Lam, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor John Lee and Secretary Edding for a great presentation just now, setting the scene and also the importance of education and the UN 75 platform. Delighted and honored to be here on a Sunday with friends and supporters from around the world. Saturday, I'm sorry. You can see I look forward so quickly. Now, I think from Hong Kong, this is a place where we connect with friends and supporters from around the world. I like to say hello and send greetings and to update very quickly on what's happening here, why it's relevant to the UN efforts. Hong Kong, over the past 3 years in particular, has been decisively moving into the direction of becoming a world-class international innovation and technology super hub. And that is important because Hong Kong has transformed itself several times already in the past 100 years, from a tiny fishing village and then a major export and re-export hub, and then all the services revolution, including today as a leading international financial center, international transport center, international media center, and international trading center as well. But the most exciting transformation is happening now. That is to become a world-class international innovation and technologies super hub. And we are not doing it alone. We are doing it with our sister cities in the surrounding region here. We're talking about 9 cities in the #1 economic performance province in China, Guangdong, plus Hong Kong and Macau, 2 special administrative regions. So 9 plus 2 equal 11. Now, these 11, very powerful because when we work together, like Secretary Edding said, 1 and 1, is 11, right? But now here we have, not only Hong Kong, Macau, but also, 9 cities in Guangdong, and we are teaming up. And Hong Kong is unique as the international gateway for the Greater Bay Area, which is more than the traditional Bay Area kind of concept. So it's the world's new Silicon Valley and much more, because here we have two stock exchanges, Hong Kong and Shenzhen. We have the super casino and smart tourism hub in Macau, and we have the most advanced manufacturing and logistic systems in the world right across the border. And this Greater Bay Area is linked superbly with world-class infrastructure. From Hong Kong, after 14 minutes on the high-speed rail, you can be in the Greater Bay Area right away, from the Shenzhen station. So Greater Bay Area, 70 million people, and with a GDP that is that of as big as Australia, and growing much faster. So Hong Kong is unique. We are transforming in a big way, and in financial services, we see fintech development, and we see insurtech, and in education, we have edtech. In medicine, we have medtech, and we have everything. Everything is tech now. Yeah, it's exciting. But because of that, you can see that we are actually a major champion for the SDGs. For example, the startups in Hong Kong, as Secretary I didn't mention earlier, they are already helping emerging economies in the region to adopt fintech and insurtech solutions, enabling a lot of underbanked and underinsured people, including women and young people and SMEs. So I think that is very important. We're talking about eliminating poverty. We're talking about gender equality. We're talking about quality education, and we're talking about affordable energy and so on. I mean, these innovation and technology startups are making a big difference, and they're already thinking global, although they are from local. And each one of them is doing CSR, corporate social responsibility. Just now, in the COVID-19 crisis period, we already witnessed a lot of startups providing solutions to help the community with quarantine operations, with security, check, for buildings and communities, just to make sure that we can overcome COVID-19. So that is a clear example, and everything here about digital transformation is moving faster. Digital transformation is now not just a nice to have kind of goal. It is a must, and it has gone mainstream. So it's no longer like, now people have been talking about and practicing home office, e-learning, you name it, we have it. So I think it's very exciting. In Hong Kong, we are lucky to have several major means for implementing the SDGs. One is because we are leading international financial center, we have abundant finance for development. And we have science, technology, and innovation edge that we are enjoying now. Plus, we have government policy, putting much more emphasis in this area. Over the past 3 years in particular, the Hong Kong government already put in more than 100 billion Hong Kong dollars in innovation and technology, for example. And the efforts will continue. So Hong Kong and the Greater Bay Area, I believe, will become a big champion for the SDG implementation. And the Greater Bay Area is the world's big lab for a lot of innovation, out of the box changes for good, including fintech, insurtech, medtech, edtech, and clean tech, green tech. The list is long. Hopefully, from the Greater Bay Area, from Hong Kong, we can benefit the world, and particularly the developing world. I think that is a big role for Hong Kong and the Greater Bay Area. And the UN family definitely will be, where all like-minded friends and supporters can meet and collaborate together for a better world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lam, for your sharing about your insights about everything is technology, basically. you can add whatever combinations, ranging from education to medicine and other different aspects. So this will provide really everything could be connected with technology and innovation. So thank you, Dr. Lam.
Thank you.
So we now comes to another distinguished speaker, Professor Andrew Yang. Professor Yang is, he has researched a lot of areas, but of course a long time devoted to continuing education, and has been deeply involved also in UNESCO Hong Kong Association. So Professor is going to share with us the topic about how Hong Kong higher education can contribute to human resource upgrading in the GBA. So we pass on to invite Professor Yang, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and pleasure to have the opportunity to speak at today's dialogue. The theme of today's dialogue is education, technology, and human resources in the Greater Bay Area. Now, much has been written and said about the Greater Bay Area in many different aspects. As we have heard, the Greater Bay Area has a population of 70 million and a GDP of more than 1.4 trillion US dollars, or about 10% of the national GDP. As the most open and vibrant region in China, its economy is underpinned by innovation, advanced manufacturing, and modern service industries. So areas such as big data, artificial intelligence, smart manufacturing, and financial technology will no doubt be the important driving forces for its future development. It is obvious that sufficient supply of talents in the relevant areas is essential. This means that the education system and the environment must be conducive to producing high-level professionals locally and to attract talents from outside the region. Now, you may ask, what types of talents are required for the development of the Greater Bay Area? We can make reference to the other successful Bay Areas, such as Tokyo, San Francisco, and New York. Now, one distinct feature is that the economies are all based predominantly on tertiary industries, with a contribution to the GDP between 80 to 90%. Now, the figure for our Greater Bay Area as a whole is only 62%, and this is reduced to about 50% if Hong Kong and Macau are excluded. The future Greater Bay Area developments will need to substantially strengthen the tertiary industry areas with sufficient supply of appropriate talents. In this respect, as we have heard, Hong Kong is well positioned as a regional education and talents hub in the Greater Bay Area. Now, this is because over the past years, Hong Kong has developed a high-quality education system, including its higher education institutions, international schools, transnational education programs, a mature professional and continuing education system, and a large pool of international talents. Now, what are the main strengths of education in Hong Kong, particularly higher education? In view of time constraint, I will just mention three aspects. They are internationalization, high quality teaching and research, and thirdly, a mature and diversified and effective professional and continuing education. Now, let me briefly explain each of these points. The Hong Kong higher education system is well known for its high degree of internationalization. Now, this is reflected by the high score of this component for most universities in Hong Kong in world university rankings. The breadth of internationalization covers the following elements: international students and faculty, international curriculum, international networks and collaborations, regional and international education hub, exchanges of students and academics, and export and import of education. Now, Hong Kong's institutions in the past years have put a great deal of efforts in these areas and have generally achieved remarkable results. High quality teaching and research. Again, we need only to look at the international rankings of our universities. The main criteria include academic reputation, employer reputation, quality of research, and the extent of internationalization. As we know, university rankings vary from year to year. I have looked at the results of the last few years, and I can summarize very briefly here. Hong Kong has 4 universities which are ranked within the top 50 in the world, and 5 universities ranked within the top 100. Now, this is very remarkable and unique, as Hong Kong is the only city in the world with 4 universities in the top 50. Now, many subject areas are ranked very high in the international rankings. I just give you a few examples. Hong Kong University of Science and Technology and Hong Kong U's executive MBA programs are ranked 1st and 2nd in the world by Financial Times. Other subject areas in science, medicine, engineering, humanities, social sciences, management are ranked within the top 20 in the world. There are also many excellent research groups and institutes. For example, Hong Kong University has just announced to establish 10 new cutting-edge research institutes within the next 5 years, including quantum science, materials and energy, artificial intelligence, IT, and so on. Now, universities in Hong Kong are strong in basic research, but they are comparatively less strong in knowledge transfer and commercialization of research results, which are precisely the strong points of education institutions and enterprises in Guangdong. Therefore, universities in Hong Kong and research institutions and enterprises in the Greater Bay Area can complement each other in basic research, knowledge transfer, and commercialization. I believe that this combination will develop the Greater Bay Area into an international innovation and technology hub with potential to match the other Bay Areas in Tokyo, in Japan, and the US. Now, the third area is professional and continuing education. The development of the Greater Bay Area will require a highly skilled and educated workforce. Basic and full-time education, even to the university and postgraduate levels, would not be sufficient. In a knowledge-based economy, the need for high levels of education participation by adults already in the workforce is essential. Hong Kong has developed a mature and diversified professional and continuing education system, or we call lifelong learning system. We have about 35% of our working adults regularly engaged in professional and lifelong learning programs. Now, in this regard, I would like to highlight 2 points. First, the development of the Hong Kong qualifications framework in the last 10 years or so has promoted lifelong learning greatly. The Guangdong Education Authorities is independently developing their own qualifications framework. There is much room for collaboration within the Greater Bay Area in this important field. I would like to see a jointly developed Greater Bay Area qualifications framework. This, of course, will take time. As a first step, I believe a scheme of mutual recognition of qualifications should be urgently developed within the Greater Bay Area. As the Hong Kong qualifications framework is internationally recognized, a new Greater Bay Area scheme will greatly facilitate the human resources development and attract talents from elsewhere. Second, based on our strength and experience, Hong Kong's tertiary institutions should work closely and urgently with other Greater Bay Area partners to greatly expand professional and business management education programs to cater for the special needs of the Greater Bay Area economic development. Now, these programs are not the traditional ones in university curricula. They are cutting-edge interdisciplinary programs based on the latest market demand, targeted at innovation and at solving practical problems faced by enterprises. Now, these programs are likely to be jointly taught by university academics and frontline professionals. I have no doubt at all that with the full development of their respective potentials and close collaboration among Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau, the future of the Greater Bay Area will be very bright. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Young. Indeed, I know UNESCO, Hong Kong Association, and Hong Kong Institute of Education for Sustainable Development have made many practical implementations of projects such as ESD learning programs, professional training programs for sustainable development planning, which we could already see evidence of their effects in lifelong learning for sustainable development goals. Right? Yeah, to take a step further, what other actions do you suggest us to take now to make a better world for future generations?
Wow. Wow, this is a very broad question. But I believe there's no doubt education is the key to a better world. Now, when we talk about education, the broader sense, of course, education will reduce poverty, promotes equality, spreads awareness, especially environmental awareness. Education will give us a healthier lifestyle, helps progress, provides a happier life, and so on. So what we should do is to try our very best to make society provide the means to improve constantly the quality of our education and to cultivate a lifelong learning culture. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Young.
Yeah, we would like to seek advice from, first of all, Mr. Eddie. You have different roles. So we would like at this juncture to seek your wisdom, to tap your wisdom on what would you advise our UN Secretary General to do to address this global trends. We talk about different global trends today. So wisdom, please.
Thank you very much. Indeed, this is a very good opportunity to joint-handedly further explore the various possibles. I would suggest and I would hope to see the United Nations Secretary General to address a couple of areas. First, let's continue to put the world together. If you look at both in the human capital development, synergy, geographical intercultural collaboration, 1 + 1 = 11. All these require collaboration among all. So let's continue to get the whole world together as one. So that's the first thing. And second, in a couple areas, I would look forward to the United Nations Secretary General to take the lead in addressing first, particularly after pandemic attack, parents' education should be moving to another stage. And then IQ, EQ, and SQ together. I would hope this would be like a 16 developmental task or objective. Could we add one more there? Because just IQ won't work. Just EQ won't work. Together, still missing one thing, is that our attitude to serve each other, to benefit each other, to protect each other, taking on the social responsibility in everyone's own hands. I believe this is a very fundamental. So I look forward to these two areas to, with your help and encouragement and support, we should have a better world tomorrow.
Thank you, Eddie. We also like to ask the same question because you come from the business. You are now leading and chairing the cyberport. You drive one of our important direction on science and technology and IT and so on. So, what would you advise our UN Secretary General to do to address these global trends?
Yeah, first of all, I have to congratulate the world on having the UN, which is the now most important platform for the family of nations to collaborate together to secure a future for the human race and for all of us. I think from the business sector, my humble suggestion is to mobilize much more the support from the business sector to help the UN goals achievement. Because the business sector has all the means for doing that. First of all, financing for development. Secondly, technology and innovation, all the investment. So I think the business sector has to take the lead, cannot be a bystander, cannot just do it as a nice to have. It should have an action program and should speak but at the same time do, and speak and do together. Another thing I like to suggest is to focus on the developing world, the South-South challenges. I mean, these are fellow human beings. They need to have the opportunities to live a decent life. So I think we should work together, look at all these difficult areas and turn them into opportunities. Last but not least, I really appeal for the best young people from around the world to consider a career in the UN. It's not to make money, but to help the world. So the UN should have the best talents as well, not just the business sector. And we should work together to ensure that we are indeed a happy global village rather than, each country minding its own business. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lam. So it's time for me to give a snapshot. But it's not easy to really encapsulate all the insights shared by the speakers. But I give a try to highlight some of the key points raised by each speaker. Mr. Eddie, my former Secretary of Education, shared insights about the new normal. It's a new normality. We are talking about the future that we are already establishing a new norm of work and new norm of life, especially given the recent COVID-19 experience. Mr. Ng talks about the uniqueness in Hong Kong and also the GBA. First of all, we have a very strong higher education foundation, outstanding performance in schools. We have ample opportunities in terms of the market and also the potential for future development. And also, Eddie talks about some challenges, but I think to me challenges are opportunities, like sharing of COE, the excellence and expertise, and also the importance of joining hands, collaboration, and so on. Mr. Ng has mentioned a few times importance of integration about different quotients, IQ, EQ, and also social quotient. Importance of how people should really respect each other, how to work together with a common vision, and also for the common good. He also talks about many terms in multi-generational learning, collaboration, multicultural, multinational cooperation. So we are living in a world of multi-collaboration anyway. Then we have Dr. Josh Lam talks about, from his business perspective and other leadership perspective about the possible potentials of Hong Kong and also the cyberport and other GBA potentials to become a world-class international innovation and technology super hub. It's not a hub, it's a super hub. It means that it will provide a very strong level of change for the region and in particular for the developing countries in the region. He talks about a lot of combination possibility for technology, based on fintech, insurance tech, and so on. So a lot of possibility will be open through the integration of the technology and innovation. Because of limitation of time, I should really in future explore with Dr. Josh Lam the importance of CSR of the business sector. He talks about corporate social responsibility, how business can really put words into action, put plans into improvement plans for the nation and also for other countries and also for our country as well. So there's a lot of potential, I believe, for Hong Kong and GBA to become a super hub, not only to provide a good example, but also with an aspiration to achieve the SDG of the UN. Professor Yang, from his perspective of a distinguished educator and also research in continuing education, focus on three important aspects of the Hong Kong GBA. Is first of all about a high quality system against an international background. He pinpointed the importance of internationalization, how internationalization can help Hong Kong and GBA to become even better, to become a better hub of education, to serve the region, to serve the country, and also possibly the region and the nation. Secondly, he pinpoints and highlights the high quality teaching and research, as evident by the ranking, subject ranking, other outstanding aspects of Hong Kong universities and other educational development. He did, however, point out the important complementarity, how GBA area can provide complementary strength to help Hong Kong in the area of knowledge transfer and also commercialization of deliverables. I'm sure that Cyberport can also give a hand in making deliverables, innovation to become commercialized, to be able to go downstream to have the reality. Of course, Professor Yang pinpoint importance and future direction of professional continuing education, which is a hinge pin for lifelong learning. So in the sharing about responses to two important questions raised by Karen, Professor Karen Jia. First of all, Mr. Ng pinpoint about importance of putting the whole world together as one piece, as the whole. But we have to explore probably the importance how in future we have the common language. We always talk about the common good, about the common aspiration. So what's the common language? This will require more deep discussion about our vision about our future, which is related possibly already portrayed by the UN goals and so on. And Mr. also talks about important parents' education. I believe the parents is an important education stakeholder and also a key component of a family and school education. And then Professor Yang talks about the importance of education as the key to a better world. Better world is defined according Professor Yang in this at this juncture is talking about linkage with the sustainability. Sustainability in terms of a healthy lifestyle, a happy life, is not only about economic development. It's also referring to the importance of environmental sustainability, about personal well-being as well. So this provides a very important common language. We talk about the common language for our future to engage in further discussion, and also to make the society, for a context that is conducive to lifelong learning. We all need to learn, engage in learning in different stages of our lives. Last but not least, George Lam, congratulate and also highlight importance of our today's major audience, our UN 75 dialogue. UN is important, of course, without much description, very powerful, important leader in world affairs and also charting the way forward for humanity and also including educational development. Dr. Lam points about importance of integration between thoughts and action. It's not only about minds, it's not only about words, but also integration between plans and action. So I think that the core is important because in future we need to work all together to realize the goals, to realize our dreams, and to enact in real actions. So, and also important to engage young people. In UN, I believe we would like to extend our open invitation to youngsters in Hong Kong, GBA, in the region and across the world to come to Hong Kong and GBA. This is the path though that will be evolving, dynamically growing, and I'm sure that it will provide a lot of opportunity for all ourselves, for our future and so on. So in this juncture, we would like to thank Professor Zhang, all our distinguished speakers, Professor Yang, Mr. Eddie Ng, and also George Lam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, this marks the end of today's UN 75 dialogue. Please continue to pay attention to the third dialogue section of Hong Kong Story at the same time tomorrow, which will be on the topic of sustainable governance with trust and support. We assure you that the next dialogue will also be very exciting. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.